Hello everybody and welcome to this new episode of the Creative Insider. In this episode I have the honor to have a very friendly chat with an amazing Finnish ceramist. Her name is Saara Kaatra. She's from Finland, she's currently living in Berlin, but she came by at my small flat to record a very friendly podcast where we discuss about what it takes to study ceramics, how is the life at the Alvar Aalto University in Helsinki, how to become a professional ceramist, and how to make a living out of this craft. I hope you enjoy, and in the end of the episode, I suggest you go check her work because it's just awesome. So yeah, welcome and enjoy our chat.
The whole world stops just like that.
Hello everybody, welcome to this new episode of the Creative Insider. I'm very glad to have here as a guest Saara Kaatra. She comes from Finland and she's, I would say, an artisan. So hello.
Hi there, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So first of all, I would say that I don't know her personally very much because she's my first Instagram guest. We kind of got to know each other on Instagram. So thank you for having faith in me.
Thanks for inviting.
Yeah. So you live in Berlin, right?
Correct. Since 9 years already. Yeah.
Very well. So let's start from the beginning. So you're from Finland. Which part of Finland are you from?
I'm from Helsinki. My whole family is from Helsinki.
And did you study something related to ceramics, or how did you arrive to doing ceramics? So I know that in Finland there is a very interesting education system, which is very, let's say, inviting you for entrepreneurship or for trying out new things. Is that something that influenced you, or how was your education?
Well, I think the education in general is very free. We have a free education for all, so then everybody feels there's not such a pressure. So I think that's quite, like you say, inviting. But I ended up studying ceramics. Actually, I went to an art high school, and I wanted to do like a course in photography, but that was full because all the like cool teachers' classes were always filled super fast. And then I was like, oh no, damn. And then I saw like, there's the ceramics number 2 course, and I got there.
But that's in high school, or
yeah, correct. This is high school, and then.
So what did you do in this class? Because another thing I was thinking while I got to know your work from Instagram, and as a designer, as an architect, there is a big, let's say, Scandinavian movement in design. Mm-hmm. So what did you do at school? What kind of things you do out of tone or ceramic? It was again like caps, or
this was because it was the ceramics number 2. So I skipped the first one, so it was straight into doing like a bit more mass-produced style cups and bowls and.
Oh, okay. So to set up a mass like a factory.
No. But doing like with plaster molds and like doing a bit more like methods that you use in small scale production. So then I never did the ceramics number 1, and then that was my start with ceramics. And then I went to the art university to start to study ceramics also.
Okay, you went to so this is a university or an academy of arts?
It was, at the time it was University of Art and Design. And then I did my bachelor's there with the ceramics and glass art. And then after my bachelor's, it changed into Aalto University.
Oh yeah. So for the people who doesn't know, Alvar Aalto, it's very, very famous Finnish architect.
Correct. And so then it's named after him. And then I did my master's in applied art and design.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. And at what age did you graduate? Almost.
From the Aalto University. That was 2010, so I was 27, yeah. I was often always the youngest, so it was very weird. Then
You were always the youngest?
I had one fellow student who was 1 year younger than me, and then one who was my age, and we were the three super young women there. So
okay, was it? That's a good point. I didn't think about it because I studied architecture in Rome. So architecture, it's this field where it's maybe in the past it was more male, but has always been something in between. Engineering and design. So it was really, really mixed. So we had I would say 50% male, 50% female. How was in the field of ceramics?
So our class was, I think, 10 people, and we were.
Could you please get a little closer?
Yes. Maybe 4 guys. So
out of how many people?
10.
Oh, okay. So it was a very small class.
Yeah, they always take 10 per year, 1 year. So.
Oh, they are 10 spots every year.
Correct.
Okay, and how many people apply in Finland?
I think for ceramics it's not so many. So
yeah, but if they're 100, like 1 out of 10
maybe less than 100, I would say maybe 60 or something like that. But
okay.
It's not the most popular, like fashion design or interior architects, but still, yeah.
Yeah, and what were the how did you get accepted? What did you need to do, a test, or you need?
Yeah, there's an week of kind of exams.
Oh, you have a test entrance exam.
Yeah. So you do you get creative assignments, and then you have to. Make different types of, sometimes sculpting, sometimes painting, drawing.
General creative things.
Yeah.
And were there some foreign students? Like, was it just because, for example, my university, the field of architecture is way, way brighter because there were 300 spots a year, and there were 3,000 candidates. And the entering test is in 1 day, but that I studied the University of Rome is the biggest university in Europe. It's there are 40,000 subscribed people and all the faculty, so it's huge.
That's enormous.
Yeah. So and I was guessing if there were are there people that come from abroad because they want to study especially art at this Aalto University? Because
yes, a lot. But it's mainly to the master's program. People have already a background in something, and then they want to do their master's and come. They know that it's a good university. You also, I don't know, at least the time when I was there, it's a free university. So you get quality teaching or quality studies for free, which is very...
Sorry, that's the live problems. I didn't have my phone off. That's interesting for somebody that it's doing the podcast. We were saying that the university is free and there are people coming from abroad. Did you have some abroad fellow students, like foreign fellow students?
Yes, in my master's program, I think more or less half is foreign. So there was people from Mexico, some from Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan.
Okay, so very international.
Yes.
And did you? Okay, so you studied at this university, and was your transition from a student to the professional world already during your studies? I don't know. Did you do some sort of stage somewhere, or you just
Well,
if you had because for example I was when I came to Germany as an Erasmus student, and here there is a great opportunity for students to get a job because there are tax reduction for the company that hires you. They don't pay so much taxes on you. So I started working 20 hours a week next to my studies to slowly transition to
be like a werkstudent.
Exactly, that's the exact thing.
Yeah.
And how was for you? How did it happen?
Well, I was lucky enough to get into ceramic symposium just after graduating in Austria. So I was there for 5 weeks. And
what is a symposium exactly?
Symposium is where you do like intensive working with a group of ceramists.
Okay.
And I think we were maybe 10 people for 5 weeks. And then you could do like very intensive working with a very good setup. We got materials and accommodation, and then there was an exhibition. So it was kind of a good stepping stone for immediately after graduating.
So, but you applied for this symposium, or you were invited, or?
I applied for it,
and then with the products of the symposium, you could, like, I don't know.
Yeah, then I could apply with them to some exhibitions also. And then I had it was good. Then I had started something. Then I felt like, okay, now I can.
Yeah, it was your first start into producing, because for example, in how is the creative process of a piece of ceramic? Yeah, I guess you need to draw it first, or I mean, how it's the general procedure of designing. I have only experience with ceramics at my art school, where I did some small statues out of sculpturing. So you need to first draw it, then you start shaping it. In the case of statues, you need to cut it in two, make it empty, and then re-put it together. And when you do that, you're super afraid of messing up big time. And then in the end, you let it dry and you bake it. Fire it, or what is the terms?
Some people say cooking or baking. It's always nice. But the correct term is firing it, which is also a bit funny term. I think ceramics has so many different types of techniques. So depending on your preference, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, like in general, like for example, you want to design a new cap, for example. So you just think it by sketching it, or?
Well, I usually just.
What is your process?
My process is for 3D, like ceramic objects, I don't draw so much. I have an idea in my head, and then I do sketching with the clay. So, you can.
You do like a model.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do like sketching with the pieces, and then if you don't like it, you can recycle it and make a new one. So that's the nice thing. So.
Yeah, that's true, because that's good, because I haven't think about it, because I think in this way in sketching, because when I design buildings, we do models of the building, but building a model of a building, it takes a little time. So you need to first sketch it and think it about in 2D, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, this sounds like a good idea, and then you can build a physical model out of paper or something and see how it works. But you're right, because you're building something 1-to-1 scale.
Correct.
So you can start modeling it, and tone is very plastic, right? It's easy. And so you went to Austria. You stayed there how long, you said?
5 weeks.
5 weeks, okay.
And then I had decided already to move to Germany. So I had already everything packed from Finland. I went to Austria and...
Oh, where in Austria was your symposium?
In Gmunden.
Gmunden. Never heard about it.
Middle of nowhere, between the mountains, and super peaceful and quiet. Yeah.
And how came Germany? Why Germany?
Then my boyfriend is German. We met during the studies, and we had already decided to. Well, he was back to Germany then, and I thought I didn't want to stay in Finland. I thought it's nice to move away. And
is he also in the field of
ceramics? No, he studied for strategic design.
Strategic design. Okay.
Correct.
Maybe your husband can come on next episode to talk more about strategic design. So you studied at the same university, or
same university.
Okay.
We have a common friend, so that's how we met.
Okay, and then you went to So you're currently living in Berlin. Did you go to Berlin back then, or?
Yeah, first I went to Austria, and then from Austria he was working that time for Volkswagen. So then I went to Wolfsburg, and then from Wolfsburg we were looking for a flat in Berlin because nobody wants to live in Wolfsburg.
Okay, so people from Wolfsburg, we love you. I've seen your city. You have a great car museum.
Correct. That's true.
It's funny. You have also the kids museum with from the architect Zaha. I've been there. It's cool, but I guess that
the library from Alvarado.
I have visited the library and a church. There is another church from Alvarado,
and a very beautiful art museum.
Yes, but I think that if you're not in the field of Volkswagen, it's not the most exciting city to live in.
No.
And so you moved to Berlin. How long time ago? Also recently, or
9 years? Yeah, 9 years ago. So then we stayed in Wolfsburg for I think 3 months, and then I found a flat.
You stayed there 3 months, and then you couldn't stand it anymore.
Yeah, I was always taking the morning train 6 a.m. to check on some apartments, the showings.
Oh, true.
So they were always 8 o'clock, so I had to take an early train to go and see flats, and then I was lucky enough to find a very nice apartment.
So for the people who are not good in geography, Wolfsburg, it's northern Germany, and it's 3 hours, something like that, far away in train from Berlin. So it's
with the car, it's a bit. There's a good autobahn, of course, because it's Volkswagen city, and with the train, it's maybe 1.5 hours.
So it's even closer. So my geography is not so good either.
So you can also do working for...
working in... Also, does your husband still work in Wolfsburg?
No.
Okay.
He did for a little while, go every day from Berlin to Wolfsburg, but no.
Yeah. And how did you develop your activity in the meanwhile? So you moved to Germany, and how did you kept improving your ceramic designs, and how did you set up in Germany? Because ceramics, I guess, requires a little bit of gear and space also.
Yeah, I think so. That was 2011, and then I think I did an internship 2011, and then I got my studio early 2012. I found via Craigslist that tiny little place, and got the kiln. I think the kiln is the most important thing to have. It's
what is a kiln?
Kiln is for firing the pieces, so cooking them.
So and where did you get it, or
I bought it? Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the biggest investment. I bought the biggest one that can use the normal power.
Okay. Because of course you require a lot of power. But does it really produce fire, or just a lot of heat, or?
No, there's no really fire. It's like a normal oven.
Yeah.
It's closed, and it's just there's little spirals that heat up, and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it gets really hot. I do lots of porcelain, so 1,250 degrees. So it's pretty hot.
Yeah. And do you need a special? I don't know. Do you need any beside gear, so to say, for a special ventilation, or it's just enough to have it? You can have it at home.
Well, depends what kind of materials you use. But
you personally,
No, you just need a good, not special ventilation, but if you have a good circulation, air circulation, then it's enough. Yeah.
And so you get that gear, and you have probably a dedicated room for your activity at home, or do you have an extra lab?
No, I have a studio. So I was until last year, I was in my tiny little, I think it was like 8 square meter studio.
But not in your home somewhere?
No, like few kilometers away. And last year I got a new studio with a colleague, but then we had to leave it. And this year now we have another new space since February, which...
So
yes.
You cooperate with this colleague, or you do your work together? Like you do the same, the products that it's what I have seen.
She does her
and you do your own,
and I do mine.
Yeah. And is she German or is she?
She's half German, half Norwegian.
And you got to know through the field, I guess, because
she was looking for someone to share a space with, and I had been thinking of like sharing my space with somebody because I like to have some interaction and to get you get a bit dialogue about your material, about your technique, and that it's not so lonely. Ceramics is often a bit lonely.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, architecture can get very lonely too if you work solo and for yourself, because also, I always got a little, some it was made fun of my friends, fun of me when they see me, for example, with my hands are often with spots of colors because we use colors and we draw, we sketch.
Yeah.
And when I was at the university, I was always, I have a lot to do and I need to do all-nighters, and like, well, what are you doing? You're coloring things around. You don't do anything serious. But creativity takes time. You're doing something that's in your mind, and before it becomes material, it requires work and passion. So it can get
failing and
failing. Yeah, I think it's like a natural selection of your own work, because you do your prototypes and you decide which one won't succeed, and then there is those groups which then get alive. And I guess that it's not easy to make yourself a name, and how did you start developing your, let's say, brand, and finding your clients, how did you proceed with that?
Well,
because I guess back then also social media was already the thing to go, or
I think there was Facebook.
Yeah, because Instagram that's I think maybe not even 10 years old.
No, and I also didn't put an effort in Instagram before, I think last year so much. But I have to say that I had a half-time job until last year, and then I guess
also in the field of ceramics or something completely different?
No, something completely different. I was doing some administration for a design agency, which was also nice because you get a bit of community from like normal office job.
Yeah, you have the everyday life where you go and colleagues.
Correct. And then you get because ceramics is very unpredictable, and
what do you mean unpredictable?
When like you might make a bowl, and then you put it in the kiln, and then it might break. It might look totally different. They often shrink depending on the ceramic material, and then it might be like such a disappointment, or like very big, like looking great, or like anything can happen like while the piece is being fired. So,
but I'm curious, does that happen during the for example, when you have created your model of a cap or a bowl or a vase, and you have fired it? I'm getting technical here.
Yes, continue.
And then it works well. Everything's fine. When you repeat the process, Can it go wrong?
Yes.
Oh, so every time you just go and like, oh, I hope it's gonna go.
Yeah. You get better at this, and then like it gets also easier, like, and you know, like what might be the things that go wrong, but sometimes still you've done the same thing 10 times over, and then suddenly something happens, and then it's, I don't know, it's broken, or like something melted too much, or I don't know, some weird thing happens. That can still happen.
Okay, but I think this is also, there's a positive side of it, because every piece is unique. So
Yes, and you are, I think ceramists are the most patient breed of of humans, or at least like most of the people I know, people are really patient. So you are like, you know that something might happen.
yeah, you develop this patience. That's interesting. And so you were working part-time to sustain your life,
to pay my bills.
to pay your bills, and then you were, let's say, side hustling.
Yes.
And was it, so you were working part-time, which means like every day 4 hours or something like this?
Yeah.
And then you spend the rest of the 4 hours or something like this from the day dedicated to ceramics.
Yes. So, well, I was sometimes doing like 2 full days in the office, and then like
Yeah, but
3
did
days in
you
the studio, and yeah.
did you need to do a lot of extra hours to get this whole thing going, or how did you, because for example, I don't know how are the people in the ceramic field, you said you are more patient. For example, in the architecture or field or in design, people are very, very competitive, and they're like, very obsessed. When they got on a path towards a design, they push as much as possible to get even quicker or make more options to their goal. And is it something that it requires, maybe some people can approach it more like, okay, I'm gonna set up myself a goal for today, I reach that goal, and then I close everything and I go do something else. And how was for you? Did you needed to push a little further, let's say, I don't know, make more long hours to get your business running, or how did you approach that?
You mean like changing from
like
part-time to a full-time, or?
No, that for example, when you work half-time during the day and then you went to the studio and then you did 8 hours maybe in the studio, or stayed until midnight or something like this.
Yeah, depends. Of course, like there's some processes also that take more time in ceramics that you have to check on them every day anyway. Like even if you are not planning to go to the studio, you still have to go and check how is your bottle drying, because then you have to keep it humid enough that it doesn't break.
Oh, that's now I get the whole patient thing, because it's like growing this being almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that sounds.
Of course, there's like then you go on weekends, or like go in the morning before you have to do anything else, or like stay a bit longer, or like take a break in between and go back again. And so it's quite, you have to be quite flexible, but it's also, it allows you to be flexible also. Yeah,
of course. I'm asking you this because maybe it's not a very related question to ceramics, but I was curious because, for example, myself, I've started this podcast very recently, and I'm this kind of person that I'm like, okay, I want to make it good, I want to make it better. So the more I work, the more it will get better, quicker. I want to create more content. I want to create more ideas. I want to learn new things, and then I end up just doing too much, and I take over time from being with my dear ones or with my friends, and that's why I wanted, because I think in every creative field it's something that can happen, that you get too much into your process, because it's also a passion, it's something that you love doing, and
Definitely. Yeah, there's a big risk of, I think, burnout, like with anything.
Yeah.
And like being too involved in it.
And so you transitioned to full-time freelancer, or let's call it freelancer, since a year?
Since January this year, so 6 months. But I knew already like half a year before, so I could like prepare for it.
And okay, and then back to the so you were part-time, and then you slowly build your like group of clients during that period of time, or?
No, well, I have my also, and like build up my network, and also like I have like reoccurring cooperations with other ceramists. And
what means a cooperation? Means that you do together a design, or that you, I don't know.
I do often work with the Swiss ceramist. I go to Switzerland a few times a year, and we work together. And then I work with some Finnish ones.
It working. Do you get, for example, sometimes something like an assignment or something like an order?
Yes.
From someone like, make me 20 plates or cups, or I don't know, design a new model of cup that we want to have.
No, not really designing new models. Sometimes we.
What can be the assignment? How an assignment look like? Because in an architectural field, it's very simple. There is a company needs a building for an office building, or needs it's an investor that wants to develop houses. Mm-hmm. So he gives you the area, the quantity, and you need to design that house it's going to be built. But I was curious how it looks, the assignment in your field.
So, for instance, with my Swiss partner, we get orders, and sometimes it's like just small as like one cup with some, like, because I'm responsible for the illustration usually, and she does the forms. Then it's like specific illustration that's been requested. But sometimes it's like a full tableware set of like several cups and plates and mugs and bowls and
as far as you can tell me and us, the audience, who are generally the clients? I can imagine can be, I don't know, restaurant or a private. Who comes more often for these products? Because
private people. I also don't really do such a big scale production for restaurants or coffee shops. What I could do, maybe.
I'm giving you ideas. So the Creative Insider not only gets ideas from the guests, but give ideas to the guests. No, but that's interesting, because you always have a sort of an ideal client in your head. Mm-hmm. And so I was curious who are the people who are more interested in getting your to give you the assignment, basically. Mm-hmm. And then you work in Switzerland, and then you work in Berlin mainly. Mm-hmm. And how does your day look like usually? So currently I'm
a late starter. I sleep quite long. Then so often I do like paper business, or answering emails in the morning, or like taking photos, or anything that cannot be done in the studio. And then I'm at the studio around latest at 11, and depending what I'm working on.
So you're taking photos for your social media from your products, or?
Yes.
Do you have a special setup for that, like a studio, or you do it at home?
We do it at home. My boyfriend got a nice light box for taking
Okay.
photos. So that's
Yeah. Well,
my blessing.
you are both in design field, creative. So you for sure. But, I mean, I've seen your Instagram feed, and it's very cool, very interesting. And as I said, to me, looks very, very Scandinavian and Nordic. So for the people who are interested, should go and check it. And then you go to the studio and you work more on making something that you already designed, or you do, I don't know, design. You work on something new and then you produce parallel the designs you already have prepared.
I do both. Sometimes I do parallel, like things I have already designed, and then I can kind of produce them. And then while doing that, I can also build some new things. And sometimes I do just productions, just slip casting with molds.
Okay, and how you said you are not a big production, so it's like a small one. But what does it mean, small one? How many of your how do you call like the whole or your sets or of your objects you can produce per week, per day? What means small? You can say some very, very approximate number.
Yes. Okay, I can
50 to 100 or
no.
That's too much?
Yeah, that's too much. I think I can. It depends, of course, always on the amount of molds. So if you're using molds, I can do less than 20. So between 10 and 20.
Okay, but
like maximum.
Even like it depends on the size, or because I don't know.
Yeah, of course, it depends on like if it's a cup with a handle or without handle. Always takes like more time to attach the handles, or like if there's some illustration on it or like any decoration, that also takes more time.
I wanted to ask you because I've seen very carefully some of the products you do, and some of them they has this sort of pattern of colored dots, or it looks like brush signs. Are they painted afterwards, or are they made in a special technique that when you fire it, it comes out that way?
It's painted. So, okay, then I go one step backwards. So usually you make a piece from a clay, and then you do a bisque firing, which is 900 degrees before glazing a piece. So, and then I decorate.
And glazing, it's a very high temperature that makes the pieces so reflective, let's say.
And water resistant. And
yeah, of course.
Yeah. And you get this glossy layer on top. And then I do the decoration after the bisque, but before the glaze. So when they are a bit, it comes from there like biscuity like.
And so you need to figure out. We've talked about the gear or the infrastructure you need to produce your pieces, which is basically you need a studio and you need some. What was called the gear that
for the firing?
Yeah,
kiln. That's a kiln.
The kiln. And you need all the tools to give shape to, and what is called the instrument that rotates also to make it round, or you don't have that?
I don't use it, but my colleague has it. That's the potter's wheel.
The potter's wheel, and then you need space for sure.
Yes.
You need a bigger space now for you.
Big table, yeah.
Also, do you have shelves where you leave your things to dry?
Yes.
Yeah. And you need, I guess this is one part of the process, but you need to also get the raw materials. So where do you get those? how it works. So you have is it easy to provide you the raw material for your cups everywhere around the world?
At least in Germany, it's very easy. There's several suppliers. You can order online or...
How do you, in which size you order, like kilograms, cubic meters?
Yeah,
what
kilograms. I think, what are they? Clay comes in 10 kilo sacks, I think. Plaster comes in 40 kilo sacks. Super heavy. The granulat for making slip cast is maybe 25 kilos.
What is a slip cast?
Slip casting is when you use this liquid clay for...
to attach stuff together or what?
Also for like making normal bowls, like I don't know, general...
okay. So it's a particular...
tableware, yeah.
Okay.
It's a technique, and it's a bit like for small scale production. It's very convenient. You use plaster molds, and then you put liquid clay in there, which is called slip, and then that's why it's called slip casting. And you let it stay there a little bit, and because plaster sucks the water out, it creates kind of layer on the walls, and then you pour the things out, and then there's a form created.
And I was just guessing, because it sounds very interesting, have you ever taught people how to do it? Have you ever had classes to teach other people how to do ceramics?
No, not really. But I sometimes I get questions. People ask how I do some of my process or how to create something. So I'm happily sharing my knowledge. I'm
giving you extra business ideas here. Next time you come over to talk about the Saara Kaatra Academy or something like this.
Yeah, I think there's a division. There's some ceramists who do teaching, and I think I'm not one of them. I'm happy to share my knowledge and like take process pictures or like randomly show like one-on-one people. But I like to concentrate on my work, and
So you're more into producing things.
Yeah, and building things and making.
Yeah. Well, as I said, most of creatives are makers. But I've realized that I've recently heard about this. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. There is a pyramid of learning, so which explains how you learn, and it was sort of proved that the general Western, well, I don't know if in Finland is the same, but the Western culture of teaching, it's not very good because you study from books, but you actually learn more if you try to do something, and then you learn the most if you teach other people.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
Because you have to put everything into a logic that everybody understands, not only you in your mind. And do you said that of course the outcome of your work, it depends also a lot of your technique. There are different techniques. So do you have particular technique that you enjoy doing to give you the same end result, to have the same end result, or you also sometimes, I don't know, try to put different techniques together to have unexpected results?
Yes. So I have I think for many years I used one technique, and then I sometimes combined it with another. I have several techniques I like, and then I also like to test new things and a bit of push my knowledge, or kind of my...
Get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, also, and like push the material and my patience and like test new things a bit. And I don't know, maybe because I skipped the material course number 1.
That's still the missing lesson there in the process.
So, and I never did that much of this building with the sausages. So now I'm back there building with the sausages and making like the things from like a scratch with tiny little sausages and making a lot of braiding and little things.
Yeah, but there are some very interesting outcomes I've seen on your in your digital presence shows. I was very impressed from that. I was just wondering because maybe it's not in your field of work, but you are definitely in the field of ceramics. Is somehow the digital capacity of computing getting into, because for example in architecture there is more and more parametric design where you get these crazy shapes. If you see some buildings which look very, very crazy, like in China and Dubai, to make those organic shapes.
What did you call it?
Parametric.
Ah, okay.
So you do these crazy design forms. Do you know if it's getting into the field of ceramics also to do some 3D printing?
There's the 3D printing of ceramics, which is getting better and better. And I'm quite impressed by it. Like you can get really cool things done.
Have you ever experimented something in this field?
No, and I would like to. I sometimes use 3D printed pieces for making my molds.
Okay.
Which is also nice because you get very symmetrical, very
precise,
which is very nice, for instance, for handles.
But now you mentioned that. Do you want your work to be more to be visible, that it's handmade, or you want to make it more like really clean, precise forms?
I don't aim to look like industrial made ceramics. It's not my intention. I'm not a machine, so why should my works look like machine made?
And how is the scene in Berlin in your field? Are there a lot of ceramists that you know? How is the scene in Berlin?
It's getting bigger. When I arrived 9 years ago, there was not much happening, but now it's like there's lots of little studios that teach wheel throwing, which is nice, and like very young scene of like potters is kind of emerging, and it's very international. So like shared studios and. So.
And you mentioned before we started recording the podcast that you also take part of some competitions. How does that work generally? So there is an assignment from a competition, or you just apply with the work already?
Well, some are themed. So if you like have something that fits the theme, or like some have like a material requirement, like porcelain, for instance, or some have very broad themes, like just tableware or sculpture. So depending on that.
And I wanted to ask you that, not getting too personal. Now that you moved to be a solo entrepreneur, can you manage to make the living you were making with a side job, or is it hard? Or especially nowadays when we're in these crazy times where everything is a little more uncertain, has that somehow affected your business or your sales?
With Corona times, I guess you mean?
Yeah. I haven't mentioned the word because generally on the social media platforms they there is this AI that always filters the whole speaking. So they don't want people to talk about certain topics to avoid to have, some fake news or stuff like this.
Okay.
But it's not a problem. Yeah, I was talking about the pandemics and in general, because, you need to sell constantly, I guess, pieces.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, of course. Because I knew already, like a while before I quit my half-time jobs, that when it's going to happen. So I applied for grants and stipendiums, for like really put an effort in trying to get some kind of support money for the beginning, and I was lucky enough to get some from Finland. We have a very good artist support system, and so this has helped me a lot, that I got a stipendium to do.
But you can apply even if you don't live in Finland, and even if you
yeah, so there's like some government funded stipendiums and grants, but this one is I got from a private funding
for Finnish citizens, I guess.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So Finland has a very good system for supporting artists, at least compared to many other countries, I think. And so this has helped me, and then slowly it's getting better, like with sales, and I mean, like making more money.
You are probably getting also through social media, you having a bigger presence.
Yes,
because also this is the way I found you, so I guess you're getting successful in your promotion. And you mentioned that Finland has this interesting system, which is to admire, honestly, because people, not only in general, when you go as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of pressure because there is nobody that has your back. It's you. So it's very supportive to have these programs. And I wanted to ask you, how was for you the transition from living in Finland to live in Germany, and you go off into Switzerland? So personally, what is how did you have some cultural difference that you needed to overcome while moving here, or how was it for you personally to move to Germany? Or maybe even being with a German boyfriend, maybe your boyfriend also has a little bit a different background than you have.
Well, Finland is small, and Helsinki also is very small. And the design scene and the ceramic scene is even tinier. So I was very happy to...
Well, you get 10 people a year to become ceramists, and maybe some of them are not even Finns. So for sure it's small.
So I was kind of looking forward to get a bit bigger field in my...
How many citizens there are in Finland?
5.5 million.
Okay, so you are 10 out of 5 million. You're a pretty successful Finn. You realize that?
Yeah, if you run the numbers, that's true. So compared to that, Germany is enormous. Germany has a very big ceramic, how would I say, history, and like with lots of porcelain manufacturing and lots of ceramists, lots of artists doing ceramics. So like it was very nice for like to see that there's much more happening.
And did you learn something special professionally by moving to Germany that was different than, so making ceramics in Germany or in the other country you have been, is the approach different than in Finland, or it's always the same? And
never thought of that.
This is why it's the Creative Insider. We go into topics. You haven't been prepared for this.
No, this I never thought of.
I can help you with some example,
Yes.
maybe with architecture. I have the experience in two countries which culture are very different, Italy and Germany. So Italy, it's everything about the design. They teach you, think about making a beautiful building, and it's for sure buildable. We're in 2020. We'll find a way to make it stand and it will work. In Germany, it's, very cool design, but how you gonna build it without exploding the costs and stuff like this, like creating the details and make it work within all the norms you need to follow. So they point way much into how you make it instead of how it looks. And in general, I mean, of course, varies from school to school. This is my personal experience. And if you have noticed something like this, like some philosophical, if you want, approach, maybe some people are like, you need to take care more of the material, or I don't know.
My background, at least the studies I did, was very material oriented. And here I've seen people are not so...
more design oriented, or
I don't know. Maybe it's also when people don't really have like ceramic studies as a background, that they kind of self-learned, then they are much more fearless in like testing stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's when you don't know something, you're very unconscious. I noticed that myself.
Yeah.
Because, when you have less knowledge, you're like, oh, I'm going to try this one and maybe works out.
And often it also works out. And I'm often surprised. I'm like, oh, like I never thought of trying that. Or kind of like I would have thought this would explode.
Oh, yeah, that's a part too, that stuff can explode into wildfire. But
So
is it like a big, like, do they explode very hardcore, or they just break?
Sometimes very hardcore. Sometimes, like it's nice if you can easily vacuum clean the kiln inside and then all the pieces come off.
Okay, but the kiln
like
can stand the explosion, yeah?
Yeah, most of the time. Like
How many kilns you get exploded?
No, I only have one because I'm very, very careful and I'm very like protective on my kiln. And like if I don't know what's going in, I'm not putting it in.
Okay. Yeah, that's why you don't experiment so bravely.
No, definitely not. But
what
still had some things like breaking and melting and like, but only lost some kiln shelves, so that's fine.
So this kiln has a shelf that is protecting it in case of this.
Well, you fire pieces often in layers, so you can have like several layers of cups, for instance, and then you divide them with shelves, and the shelves kind of also protects the kiln, so because the pieces are.
And of course, you're limited. Your biggest pieces are the biggest that can fit in. You have a limit of the kiln, of course. Maybe there are different sizes.
Yeah, unless you want to kind of put things together, if they're kind of, I don't know, glue them on each other or something like that.
And what was the whole investment almost to get it how much it cost a kiln, for example?
I think mine costed like 1,600.
Okay, so 2,000 euros around.
Like a good computer.
I like a good computer. Yeah. And all the tools. So, and then you have the rent, and so you produce your pieces, which I guess takes a few days basically to make.
Definitely. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, first you have to make enough pieces to fill the kiln. So you want to.
How big is this kiln?
I think it's like 60 liters.
Oh, okay.
So like a big R2D2 size. I call it R2D2. And then you fire it the first time, 900 degrees. It takes 1 day.
Maybe you should send me some pictures of the keel, so I repost them for the audience, because now I'm starting getting also I have this sort of affection towards your keel, because
I have a big affection towards my kiln. So then you fire it 1 day, and then you have to do the glazing and the decoration if you want some, and then you have to fire it another day, and then you let it cool down.
But the whole making process also before that,
so firing always takes at least 2 days.
So I haven't checked myself yet, but if somebody wanted to buy some cups of your production, what is the range of prices you can have in your products in between? How much?
The smallest ones, I make little spoons. I think they are 14 euros, and then the more work it is, so more like.
So what is the range? So 14 is the cheapest, and what is the most expensive piece you have in your?
And then I have the braided bottles, which take several.
How do you so you do these sausages and then you literally braid them together?
Correct. Yeah, and then one bottle is like 250 euros.
Okay, but that takes
days. Yeah.
So it can take more than a week, or?
No, it doesn't take. I often do it like simultaneously while doing other stuff, but and also I cannot with some clay, you cannot do it in 1 day because it has to stiffen a little bit so it holds the structure. So it's good to make it in spread it out during
I thought it's very important to say this because I also in some other episodes I've said that creatives often are they're not so rigorous with money because we generally do something that we love to do and something that some people even do as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And the general idea of people is that shouldn't cost that much because it's basically your hobby. But to make one single piece, it takes so much work. Yeah. So I wanted to explain that so that the audience, when you go to buy some pieces of handmade work, you need to be aware that artist, that artisan, if we wanted to call that craftsman, craft person, needs to work several days and several weeks, and investment in gear and rent of your studio and taxes, because also you have the taxes on top of it.
Normal income tax,
So people don't get surprised by the cost because it's just normal. It's and you're gonna have a unique piece in the end of the day because
and it's handmade.
And you have a piece that survived the melting. So so it's very, very cool.
Yeah. Electricity also.
Electricity too. So and you have and also the whole education you have behind you, because it's also not that's something that often we forget, but the whole education, you need the time you spend to learn in doing whatever you do.
Yeah.
It's very important.
And refining your process and making quality pieces also. You can also make bad quality pieces.
Yeah, that's true. And also the failures you need to stand.
Yeah.
I was guessing also because it's a very plastic material, what you use. Are you able to optimize the use of material and, a part of the pieces that get broken, how much of the material you get lost through the process? Because I guess everything what you get out of, for example, a cap, you can reuse for the next cap.
So if it's still raw, you can reuse everything. You can recycle everything. And when if it breaks during a firing, depends on how it broke. Then sometimes you have to just throw it away. But I try my best to be able to also fix pieces, or also like if I break some stuff, I try to fix them.
Can you fix them in a funny way? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures of Japanese broken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I do like kintsugi, where you fix either with the glue, and you create this, and they have these golden scars.
Yeah, that one.
Correct. So I have done with the new Kinsoki method. I think that's more for non-food used pieces. So if you don't
like
have
vases or
vases, or like maybe if it's like a cookie plate, like dry food.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So nothing like with yogurt or something like that. But then I've developed my own fixing method, which is like inspired by the kintsugi. So then it gets fired, the piece again. You glue it with the thermoglue and with the glaze, and then you put the gold enamel on top, and then it gets another like a decoration firing, and then it's food safe.
I guess thermoglue is the special glue that also can stand the firing, right?
Yeah, it just helps to put the piece together before firing. So.
What is called the technique again? The Japan
Kintsugi.
Kintsugi. So there is this new Kinsoki Kaatra. Because you said you develop your own.
It's
technique.
a bit of like a mix of.
But I think it's a very, very interesting, the whole process and the behind the scenes, because when you see the final result, you have this final product that you don't. Basically, most of the objects we use in our daily routine, we don't know how they were made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this whole story you have told me now about the process and the failures and the different, how you're basically every single piece you do, it's the result of, it's kind of the last stand, the survival mode. It gives more, makes me feel would make me feel more affectionate to my cap, because you get aware of how unique every single piece gets to be.
Of course. And that's what because I struggle in the world where we have like so much stuff and people buy so cheap stuff, and then I'm producing more stuff into this world. So that's what I would like people to have, like pieces that are meaningful to them, that it's their favorite cup, then it lasts a long time. It's a quality piece, and someone put their heart into it, and then you get somehow attached to it. Like, for instance, I'm very attached to my bike. I have it since, 25 years almost. And I keep fixing it because it's a good bike. And like when you're attached to something, you want to take good care of it, and then it lasts longer.
And I think the particular nature of what you do is that a lot of the pieces can be connected also to personal situations or personal emotional fields. For example, me and my girlfriend, we're big coffee lovers, so we have brunches and we have coffee. And so if you have coffee or you eat in a particular set of ceramics and with your favorite person, then you're even more connected to the whole product, and you can have this interconnection between your design, your piece you bought, and your personal emotions. So, for example, I love coffee, and I have a nice cup where I have every day at the office. It makes my coffee ritual even better.
As humans, we are very into rituals also. Like, for instance, always when I go to Switzerland, I always drink from the same mug. like each single time.
Yeah, we are. We are our habits.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to ask you, we said, okay, you can. We said the high end, pricey vase you produce, and the spoon, which is the smallest piece you have. What is the average if people want to buy a cap or something? What is the mid piece range?
Yeah, a normal cup is
Around
34 euros, I think. Cup with the handle.
That's the. Do you have cups also without handles, or?
Then it's a bit cheaper because putting the handle in takes time, and you have to also make it separately and clean it up separately. So that's why it's always more expensive to have a thing with a handle.
And
they are starting from 24 euros. I think.
Okay, so I really like the design you do. It looks very, very interesting. It's
Thank
very
you.
Scandinavian. For the audience who doesn't know that, we are recording on a Friday. It's getting late. I was very, very glad to have you on the show. I was very thankful that you responded so well to my invitation through Instagram. Gave me you had hope into me. You give me you trusted me to come over. So thank you very much for coming. I want to give you the opportunity to remind people where they can find you on the internet, or how they can get in touch on your presence. How can they reach you?
Thanks for having me. I think my most how would I say most current presence is on Instagram, so where I frequently post what's up in my studio. So my Instagram is pieces_of_porcelain.
And we're gonna have a special post about the episode. So I'm gonna tag you in there so people can reach you.
Easier to.
And do you have a website where people?
Website, which is my last name, Kaatra.com. Kaatra is Kaatra.com. And there is also a link to the Instagram and to my little online shop.
Okay, so people go check the Instagram. It's very, very cool. I can tell personally, it's looks amazing. And go buy some pieces because they look fantastic. You're gonna enjoy them, and you will supporting brave creatives, which create amazing things so that they can keep going. And thank you again, and thank you very much for the listeners for joining us. If you have any comments, you can always comment under the episode. There will be links in the description of these episodes to all the social media of Saara. And last but not least, keep supporting also the Creative Insider on the social media channels you already know, which is at TCI Podcast on Instagram and the Creative Insider pages on LinkedIn and Facebook. So thank you again, and bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Process and like making quality pieces also. Like you can also make bad quality pieces.
Yeah, that's true. And also the failures you need to stand.
Yeah.
I was guessing also because it's a very plastic material, what you use. Are you able to optimize the use of material and, a part of the pieces that get broken, how much of the material you get lost through the process? Because I guess everything what you get out of, for example, a cap, you can reuse for the next cap.
So if it's still raw, you can reuse everything. You can recycle everything. And when it's if it breaks during a firing, depends on how it broke. Then sometimes you have to just throw it away. But I try my best to be able to also fix pieces, or also like if I break some stuff, I try to fix them.
Can you fix them in a funny way? Like, I don't know, you have ever seen those pictures of Japanese broken...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I do like kintsugi, where you fix either with the glue, and you create this, and they have these golden scars.
Yeah, that one.
Correct. So I have done with the new Kinsoki method. I think that's more for non-food used pieces. So if you don't
like
have
vases or...
Yeah, vases, or like maybe if it's like a cookie plate, like dry food. Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing like with yogurt or something like that. But then I've developed my own fixing method, which is like inspired by the kintsugi. So then it gets fired, the piece again. You glue it with the thermoglue and with the glaze, and then you put the gold enamel on top, and then it gets another like a decoration firing, and then it's food safe.
I guess thermo glue is the special glue that also can stand the firing, right?
Yeah, it just helps to put the piece together before firing. So.
What is called the technique again? The Japan
Kintsugi.
Kintsugi. So there is this new Kinsoki Kaatra. Because you said you develop your own.
It's technique. A bit of like a mix of.
But I think it's a very, very interesting, the whole process and the behind the scenes, because when you see the final result, you have this final product that you don't. Basically, most of the objects we use in our daily routine, we don't know how they were made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this whole story you have told me now about the process and the failures and the different, how you're basically every single piece you do, it's the result of, it's kind of the last end, the survival mode. It gives more, makes me feel would make me feel more affectionate to my cap, because you get aware of how unique every single piece gets to be.
Of course. And that's what because I struggle in the world where we have like so much stuff and people buy so cheap stuff, and then I'm producing more stuff into this world. So that's what I would like people to have, like pieces that are meaningful to them, that it's their favorite cup, then it lasts a long time. It's a quality piece and someone put their heart into it, and then you get somehow attached to it. Like, for instance, I'm very attached to my bike. I have it since, 25 years almost. And I keep fixing it because it's a good bike. And like when you're attached to something, you want to take good care of it. And then it lasts longer.
And I think the particular nature of what you do is that a lot of the pieces can be connected also to personal situations or personal emotional fields. For example, me and my girlfriend were big coffee lovers, so we have brunches and we have coffee. And so if you have coffee or you eat in a particular set of ceramics and with your favorite person, then you're even more connected to the whole product, and you can have this interconnection between your design, your piece you bought, and your personal emotions. So, for example, I love coffee, and I have a nice cup where I have every day at the office. It makes my coffee ritual even better.
As humans, we are very into rituals also. Like, for instance, always when I go to Switzerland, I always drink from the same mug, like each single time.
Yeah, we are our habits.
Yeah.
So What I wanted to ask you, we said, okay, you can, we said the high-end pricey vase you produce and the spoon, which is the smallest piece you have. What is the average if people want to buy a cap or something? What is the mid-piece range?
A normal cup is
Around
34 euros, I think. Cup with the handle.
That's the. Do you have cups also without handles, or?
Then it's a bit cheaper because putting the handle in takes time, and you have to also make it separately and clean it up separately. So that's why it's always more expensive to have a thing with a handle.
And
they are starting from 24 euros.
Okay, so I really like the design you do. It looks very, very interesting. It's
Thank
very
you.
Scandinavian. For the audience who doesn't know that, we are recording on a Friday. It's getting late. I was very, very glad to have you on the show. I was very thankful that you responded so well to my invitation through Instagram. Gave me you had hope into me. You give me you trusted me to come over. So thank you very much for coming. I want to give you the opportunity to remind people where they can find you on the internet, or how they can get in touch on your presence. How can they reach you?
Thanks for having me. I think my most how would I say most current presence is in Instagram, so where I frequently post what's up in my studio. So my Instagram is pieces_of_porcelain.
And we're gonna have a special post about the episode. So I'm gonna tag you in there so people can reach you.
Easier to.
And do you have a website where
I have
people?
a website which is my last name, kaatra.com. Kaatra is KAATRA.com. And there is also a link to the Instagram and to my little online shop.
Okay. So people go check the Instagram. It's very, very cool. I can tell personally it's looks amazing. And go buy some pieces because they look fantastic. You're going to enjoy them. And you will supporting brave creatives which create amazing things so that they can keep going. And thank you again. And thank you very much for the listeners for joining us. If you have any comments, you can always comment under the episode. There will be links in the description of these episodes to all the social media of Saara. And last but not least, keep supporting also the Creative Insider on the social media channels you already know, which is @TCI Podcast on Instagram and the Creative Insider pages on LinkedIn and Facebook. So thank you again. And